Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to talk a little bit more how to utilize geometry to actually change those problems and those issues and patterns in your life. And for this I'm going to be talking about three main points: tuning in, hallucinating, and feeling change. And what I mean by feeling change is having a knowing of what you feel like in this moment. It's a sensation, what your mind is like, what your perception is like, what your body feels like. Notice everything. How does it feel? What is the temperature like? It's a knowing, it's a state. This is how I am right now. This is how I feel. And with this information, you now have the knowledge to know when you feel different. You know what you feel like now, and perhaps in a few hours' time, you may feel different. Or you may feel different now than what you did this morning. You may have noticed this morning when you woke up, you felt different this morning than when you did a few days ago. It's all having that knowing of what this sensation is like and what that sensation is like. It may not be necessarily your mood. It might not necessarily be your frame of mind. It just could be an overall feeling. You may wake up feeling crappy for no particular reason. You may wake up feeling joyous for no particular reason. It's not necessarily an emotion. It's really a state of feeling. And even if this feeling actually feels like something that you've experienced before, let's say pain or fear or joy, even at that, just try and experience it as just a feeling. The more you try and put labels on things, the more we box ourselves into these experiences that we don't potentially want to have. So, just take a moment and feel and notice your body. Notice your breathing. Notice the sensation of your clothes and your skin. Notice the temperature of the room, the sounds, the white noise. Anything that you notice, it's all part of sensation. It's all part of this state of feeling that you're in right now. And within this state, within this feeling, you may be experiencing some problems. Let's say you may be experiencing a headache. You might be experiencing back pain. You might be experiencing some kind of, let's say, nervousness, where you feel this anxiety, this internal blocked energy feeling. You might be feeling all sorts of things. So this is the part where we're going to talk about tuning in. And what I mean by tuning in is really getting into the core of your problem. You may have an idea of why you have a painful elbow, or why you have your headache, or why your toe hurts. You had that experience. It makes complete sense. You stubbed your toe. Your neighbor was irritating you all night. That can give you a headache. That's a logical, reasonable explanation. But still, there may be another explanation behind that. There might be another underlying occurrence going on, something unconscious, something that you're not fully aware of. And that's the kind of things that we're really talking about, and what we're talking about actually tuning into, finding the source. And the true way of finding the real source behind our problems, or the purest way anyway, is to communicate with the unconscious, talk to the unconscious. And through the communication of the unconscious, you're stepping into the field of total consciousness. It's global consciousness. It's universal consciousness. This is something that extends far beyond your local mind and your body and your experiences. So let's say we have a headache. If we were to look at our headache as not necessarily a pain or problem or something we want to get rid of, let's look at it as a messenger, something that is there. It's a sensation. Our bodies try to tell us something one way or another. So let's ask it a question. If we were to know what shape this was, what would it show up like? Let's say this headache would show up as a tetrahedron. It's the first thing that pops in my mind. Utilizing what we learned in the last video from this whole geometric structure and how the universe is created through geometry, if we were to link it with some geometric structure like a tetrahedron, we just tune into that idea of literally hallucinating. This is where hallucinating comes in, and seeing the tetrahedron. Where is it located? Is it in your head? Is it outside your head? Is it in your foot? It doesn't matter where it shows up, because where it shows up, especially if it's unusual or it doesn't make any sense, means it's coming from the unconscious. And all whilst doing this, you want to be in a state of feeling and noticing change in your feeling. In one moment, you may actually notice a shift. You may start to feel, let's say, a magnetic pull on your right leg. You might start to feel a warm sensation going down the left side of your body. You may start to feel all sorts of different things. It's just one way or another, your mind trying to recalibrate to a new experience. You're stepping into the truth. You're stepping into the reality where you are now unconsciously aware of where and what your problem really is. So therefore, it doesn't need to exist anymore. It's changing. And when you start to feel a change, even if it's in your head, just sit with it for a moment. Just go with it. And after a few moments, tune back into your problem. Is it different? Has it moved? Is it gone? And if it's gone, don't go looking for it, because you might find it again. If it's gone, leave it alone. Isn't that what you wanted in the first place? I know sometimes the disbelief that something can be gone in an instant, and you're sitting there trying to look for it because you just can't believe it's happened, but just trust it. Just leave it. Move on to something else, even if it just means focusing your hand or the table or the wall in front of you. It doesn't matter. Just take your mind off of it and go with it. So let's give you another example. Let's say you got a painful foot, and you know what happened. It happened last Tuesday. You're walking down the street, you stepped off the curb a bit funny, and you twisted your foot. You have a logical explanation of what happened. So let's put that logic and those stories aside for a moment, and even if you can, the idea that that's pain aside for a moment. And let's really tune into this as just a sensation. And from here, let's ask it a question. Let's ask it, if you were to show up as a shape from the platonic solids, what would you show up as? And let's say the first thing that pops in mind is a cube. See if you can see the cube. Can you actually visualize a cube where the pain was? Ask it if it was a color. What color would it show up as? Let's say it shows up as a purple cube, the first thing that pops in your head. And let's say it's not really a cube, it looks more like a box. A box where the lid's a bit disjointed, it's a bit bent. So with your mind, or even with your hands if you want to, just reach down where that box is and just bend it back into place. Or, visualize it, hallucinate it. And while you're doing this, do you feel anything different? You're starting to feel a change. You're starting to feel any kind of strange sensations in your body. Just go with it. Allow this to be part of the experience. Allow this to be just an experience, not about doing anything. We're trying to fix something. It's just about being in a state of playfulness, essentially. It's about just having fun with whatever shows up. And the more you start tuning into reality from this geometrical perspective, and the more you start playing with everyday things in your life as shapes, the more you actually start to tune into the very core essence of what they really are, and essentially playing a different game. Let's say you do something at work and it never really works out for you. It's a particular thing. Let's say maybe interviews, for instance. If you were to start seeing the experience that you have with those interviews, let's say inside a shape, just hallucinate. See where the hallucination takes you. See what shows up. Have fun with it. Really have fun with it. And while you're doing that, notice how your feeling about, let's say, interviews changes. Let's say thinking about interviews before was maybe quite an anxious feeling, but now you don't really care. Just go with it. Notice that that's different and leave it. Just move on. You can really utilize this in many different ways, and really you want to let your creative mind take the reins here and let yourself have fun. And even if it means for just a moment, because in that moment you're playing a different game, and when you play a different game, everything around you behaves differently. So try these concepts out on a few different things and see what happens. If nothing happens at first, don't worry about it. The more you get disheartened about it, the more it's not going to happen. So just have fun with it. The more you have fun with this, the more you're actually going to get results. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like more information or would like information about sessions or training, please visit my website. The link will be in the description below. Have a great day and see you again soon.